Just like you, I started as an admin managing Active Directory on-premises. When Microsoft moved to the cloud, I had to learn an entirely new identity system. The learning curve was steep, and the SC-900 exam questions on Microsoft Entra ID tripped me up more than once. Welcome to part 2 of our SC-900 exam prep series. After years of implementing Microsoft Entra ID for organizations of all sizes, I've identified the exact features you need to master, both for the exam and real-world security. In this video, I'll share the practical knowledge I wish someone had given me when I was starting out with cloud identity management. What makes Microsoft Entra ID stand out? Did you know Microsoft Entra ID isn't just a rebranded Azure Active Directory? While it might sound like just a facelift, there's more going on under the hood. Microsoft Entra ID takes the foundation of Azure AD and adds layers of capabilities designed for today's complex IT environments. It's still the backbone of identity services in Microsoft 365 and Azure, but now it stretches beyond its predecessor's boundaries to serve a wider range of organizational needs. From advanced security features to more powerful collaboration tools, Entra ID bridges the gap between modern cloud expectations and the legacy systems many organizations still rely on. Let's talk about the challenges that got us here. Traditional on-premises identity systems served organizations well for years, but they come with their own set of limitations. You'd typically store user information in systems like Active Directory, but managing access, ensuring security, and enabling collaboration weren't easy tasks. Add in hybrid setups, half your resources on premises and half in the cloud, and suddenly managing identities becomes a logistical nightmare. Without a unified approach, IT teams spend hours juggling tools and patching together workflows that weren't designed for the scale of modern needs. And this is exactly where Microsoft Entra ID steps up. Consider its ability to synchronize seamlessly with on-premises Active Directory environments. It's a game changer. Instead of forcing organizations into an all-or-nothing cloud migration, it lets them move at their own pace, managing both cloud and on-premises identities in a single unified platform. If your organization is ready to take the next step and operates entirely in the cloud, Entra ID works just as effectively in standalone mode. This flexibility means businesses can design workflows that fit their architecture rather than working around technology limitations. What's more, for IT professionals, it simplifies day-to-day management tasks. Imagine not having to deal with numerous identity silos or manually applying policy configurations to every platform your organization uses. With Microsoft Entra ID, everything integrates under one roof. Identity protection, conditional access, and even application lifecycle management. This not only reduces the workload, but also cuts down on the risk of misconfigurations that can lead to vulnerabilities. Let's say you're rolling out policies to control where and when employees can access sensitive data. In traditional systems, these settings might need to be configured in multiple places, each requiring careful consistency. But with Entra ID, you can define granular policies that apply universally, which saves time and ensures consistency across the board. And it's not just the IT teams who benefit. Entra ID transforms collaboration for end users. Think about how difficult it can be to securely share information across departments or even with external partners. The identity platform allows businesses to break down those barriers by enabling seamless collaboration across platforms while maintaining security. Employees can log in, share documents, or use line of business apps without jumping through hoops, while admins stay confident that the right safeguards are in place. It's about balancing simplicity for users with security for the organization, a task that's only getting harder as the number of tools and collaborators we deal with continues to rise. Now let's zoom in a bit more. One of the ways Entra ID rises above the competition is how it addresses common admin struggles. One example is provisioning. Setting up users in multiple systems used to eat up significant IT time. Microsoft Entra ID automates that process, allowing admins to integrate new users seamlessly with applications and services in minutes. Imagine hiring a new team member. They've barely started and they already have access to everything they need with proper permissions in place. It's a far cry from the days of creating accounts and manually assigning roles in an outdated, fragmented system. Similarly, when someone leaves the company, removing their access is just as streamlined, reducing the risk of lingering vulnerabilities tied to inactive accounts. Another standout element is the Identity Secure Score. This isn't just a fancy dashboard. It's a powerful tool to assess and improve an organization's identity security posture. While we'll touch more on identity security in later segments, here's something to consider. The Identity Secure Score provides a clear metric, a percentage that shows how aligned your organization is with Microsoft's best practices. But it doesn't stop there. Each action recommended by the score is tailored to your organization's unique setup, so you're not wading through generic advice. This makes improving security manageable, as you can prioritize actions that deliver the most impact for your scenario. While this all sounds great, what really makes Entra ID shine is the way it sidesteps complexity. For example, say your company uses dozens of SaaS applications from Microsoft 365 to third-party tools like Salesforce or Workday. Without a unified identity platform, managing who has access to what quickly spirals out of control. Systems fall out of sync, permissions go unchecked, and the potential for a security breach grows. Entra ID unifies access management across platforms, allowing you to control all permissions from a single pane of glass. Even better, it uses conditional access to make these controls dynamic. While a simple traditional policy might grant all employees access to a certain application, Entra's conditional access takes additional factors into account, such as location, device health, or user behavior, to determine whether access should be granted or denied in real time. Here's where we start to build up to the bigger picture. All these features speak to one underlying goal: solving the frustrations organizations face when managing identities in today's hybrid world. Microsoft knows that IT admins are constantly putting out fires, whether it's managing compliance requirements, integrating legacy systems with the cloud, or preventing security incidents caused by human error. Every piece of Entra ID is designed to reduce that stress by automating complex tasks and providing the intelligence to act proactively instead of reactively. It's not just about making life easier for IT staff. It's about supporting the entire organization in achieving its goals more efficiently and securely. Now, you might be thinking, this all sounds amazing, but there has to be a catch, right? That's the beauty of it. By overlaying these features on top of Azure AD's foundation, Microsoft Entra ID doesn't force companies to abandon existing investments. Instead, it extends those investments, adding capabilities that make the technology work harder for you without requiring a complete overhaul. Whether your company is just starting its cloud journey or is already using advanced security tools, Entra ID's modular structure allows you to pick and choose features that suit your needs. This ensures you're never paying for options you don't need or struggling to adapt features that don't align with your business model. In a way, the transition to Entra ID feels less like replacing Azure AD and more like unlocking its full potential. There's a scalability here that allows the platform to evolve alongside your organization, accommodating changes in size, focus, or even geography. That flexibility is critical for long-term growth, particularly as digital transformation accelerates. So, to summarize this section, Microsoft Entra ID is more than its Azure AD roots. It's a modern identity management platform tailored for today's hybrid infrastructures. It takes the headaches out of maintaining a secure, scalable, and user-friendly environment by consolidating identity tasks into one platform. From automating provisioning to improving collaboration, Entra ID replaces traditional complexity with simplicity and innovation. Now that we know what makes it unique, let's explore its features that take security up a notch. Protect your organization with Multi Factor Authentication, MFA. Think a password is enough to protect your data? Think again. Passwords alone might feel like a lock on your front door, but what if the key was easy to duplicate? That's essentially the vulnerability of single-factor authentication. In a world where phishing attacks are at an all-time high, even the strongest passwords can fail under pressure, leaving your organization's data exposed. This is where Microsoft Entra ID's Multi-Factor Authentication, or MFA, steps in as a critical layer of defense. So, what exactly is MFA? In simple terms, it's a way to verify a user's identity by requiring not just one but two or more pieces of evidence or factors before granting access. This could include something you know, like your password, something you have, like a phone or a security key, or even something you are, such as a fingerprint or facial recognition. By layering these independent proofs of identity, it becomes significantly harder for attackers to gain unauthorized access, even if they've stolen a user's password. Now, let's talk about why MFA is so essential. Single-factor authentication, especially when reliant on passwords alone, has numerous weak spots. Think about how people typically manage their passwords. They use common words or patterns that are easy to guess. Worse still, many people reuse the same passwords across multiple accounts. If you're wondering why this is dangerous, consider this. A data breach at one service could give attackers access to other accounts using the same credentials. This issue is compounded by phishing attacks, where cybercriminals lure users into revealing their passwords through fake websites or emails. These methods are shockingly effective. Phishing accounts for a significant number of the security breaches reported every year. With MFA, these risks drop drastically. For example, even if a phishing attack results in a stolen password, the attacker hits a roadblock when the system requires a second form of verification. When configured in Microsoft Entra ID, MFA includes a variety of verification options. One popular choice is the Microsoft Authenticator app. This app sends a push notification directly to the user's phone where they can approve or deny the login attempt with a single tap. It's quick, seamless, and adds a protective barrier that's tough to bypass. Biometrics offer another layer of security and convenience. Think about using something like a fingerprint scan or Windows Hello for Business, which uses facial recognition. These options are inherently tied to the user, meaning they can't be stolen or guessed. And for those who prefer hardware-based security, FIDO2 keys provide a fast and secure alternative. These physical devices are tied to the user's account and are plugged into a computer or tapped on a phone when authentication is needed. Microsoft Entra ID's support for FIDO2 makes it a future-ready solution. Since these keys are resistant to phishing by design, it's impossible to trick a FIDO2 key into exposing its secrets to a fake website. Other methods include OAuth hardware tokens, which function like a modern version of the token fobs some users might remember from years ago. They generate a constantly changing verification code the user enters to complete authentication. OAuth software tokens serve the same purpose, but as apps installed on mobile devices. If neither of these suits your users, there's still SMS and voice call options. While these might not be the most secure forms of MFA, they remain popular for their simplicity and ease of use, making them an entry point for organizations new to multi-layered authentication. You might be wondering how all these options translate into real-world effectiveness. Here's the reality. MFA is one of the simplest yet most powerful defenses against account compromise. Microsoft reports that enabling MFA can block 99.9% of attacks on your accounts. That's not just a number, it shows how pivotal this feature is in reducing risks. Consider the time and resources organizations spend on recovering from breaches, whether it's lost productivity, fines from regulatory bodies, or rebuilding user trust. Implementing MFA cuts those risks significantly before a breach even has the chance to occur. Let's look at a real-world example to drive this point home. In one high-profile incident, a global phishing campaign targeted employees at a multinational corporation. The attackers gained access to several email accounts, compromising sensitive business information. The breach could have escalated further, but thanks to MFA, the organization was able to contain the damage. Since MFA was required for access to critical systems, the attackers were blocked from moving deeper into the network, saving the company from potentially devastating consequences. What makes MFA in Microsoft Entra ID especially useful is its adaptability. Microsoft understands that security must work for people, not against them. If a feature is too cumbersome, users find ways to bypass it, which defeats its purpose. With this in mind, Microsoft Entra MFA offers flexible deployment options. For instance, smaller organizations can use security defaults, pre-configured identity security settings that enforce MFA without the need for extensive customization or additional licensing. This makes it accessible for those who don't have dedicated IT teams or are just starting with advanced security measures. For organizations with more complex needs, Microsoft Entra ID P1 or P2 licensing opens the door to more intricate configurations. IT admins can tailor conditional access policies to determine when and how MFA is applied. Maybe you want to require MFA only when a user logs in from a new location or a device that hasn't been seen before. Or you might enforce MFA on specific high-risk applications. Conditional access ensures that MFA doesn't feel like an unnecessary roadblock, but instead provides targeted protection where it matters most. Of course, no solution is perfect, and even MFA has its limits. While highly effective when properly implemented, it must be kept up to date alongside other security measures. Attackers like technology are constantly evolving. Things like man-in-the-middle attacks, where hackers intercept data between users and the service they are accessing, are rare but possible. However, the layered approach of MFA makes it exceedingly difficult for these types of attacks to succeed, particularly when combined with other Entra ID features like risk-based conditional access. So what's the takeaway here? Microsoft Entra MFA is more than just a feature. It's an essential safeguard. It reduces reliance on passwords, minimizes the potential damage of phishing attacks, and strengthens your organization's overall security framework. Importantly, it does so without adding unnecessary friction to workflows. This balance between security and usability is critical because if a feature creates headaches for users, adoption suffers. Microsoft has designed Entra MFA to empower administrators and users by providing robust protection with minimal disruption. But where does that leave situations where passwords are still required? While MFA is an excellent defense mechanism, passwords are still a part of the picture in many organizations. This brings us to another critical area Microsoft Entra ID excels in: improving password security itself. By addressing common issues like weak or commonly used passwords, Entra ID adds yet another layer of protection. Let's explore how Microsoft tackles this problem next. The power of password protection. How secure is the password policy in your organization? It's a question often overlooked until something goes wrong, and when it does, the consequences can be costly. Weak password policies are not just a liability. They are like leaving the back door to your organization unlocked. That's where Microsoft Entra ID's password protection steps in, providing a comprehensive solution to prevent common password-related vulnerabilities. At its core, Microsoft Entra Password Protection is built to address one of the most dangerous yet underestimated threats to organizational security: password spray attacks. In these attacks, instead of unleashing brute force on a single account, attackers use widely known weak passwords like welcome123 or p@SSPR across hundreds or even thousands of accounts. Since they're spreading attempts over many accounts, they avoid detection and bypass traditional limits on login failures. Now imagine how devastating this attack could be for an organization that doesn't enforce strong password policies. That's the exact gap Microsoft Entra Password Protection aims to eliminate. What makes this feature so effective is the global list of blocked passwords maintained and updated by Microsoft. This list includes the most frequently used and insecure passwords determined by analyzing real-world security data. Think of it as a constantly evolving blacklist. Attackers continuously find and exploit weak passwords, but this list evolves to block those as they emerge. It's not a static set of rules, it's a dynamic, intelligent defense aligned with the latest trends in cybersecurity. By ensuring employees are unable to use these dangerous passwords during account creation or password changes, you're preemptively closing the door on one of the most common entry points for attackers. But Microsoft didn't stop there. One of the innovative aspects of Entra Password Protection is its use of fuzzy matching techniques. This means variations of weak passwords are also caught and blocked. For instance, replacing letters with numbers, like swapping A for 4 or S with doubles, won't help users bypass the system. Similarly, adding a clever special character to a commonly used password doesn't make it acceptable. This feature ensures that even slight modifications of insecure passwords, which would typically bypass detection elsewhere, are flagged and blocked within Entra ID. Now here's where things get even more tailored. Alongside the global list, administrators can enforce custom password rules that reflect the unique needs of their organization. Think about this. If your company is named TechNova, the last thing you want is employees using TechNova 2023 or Nova 123 as passwords. With custom lists, you can block not just generic weak passwords, but also those tied to recognizable terms specific to your company, industry, or region. This added layer of personalization strengthens your policy, accounting for the specific risks your business faces. For companies with unique internal terminologies, blocking guest patterns becomes an essential preventive measure. And Entra password protection allows you to proactively address these vulnerabilities without introducing complexity. The power of this dual-layered approach, global and custom, is that it covers both the broad strokes and the fine details of password security. Together, they create a comprehensive safeguard to ensure no obvious gaps remain in your policy. But how big is the impact, really? Let's compare two scenarios, an organization that uses Entra password protection and one that doesn't. In the first case, imagine an admin introducing a password like Winter 2023 or Employee 2023 because they're easy to remember. Without protection mechanisms in place, this password is accepted and the user is now unknowingly vulnerable to attacks. However, in an organization leveraging Entra ID's password protection, these attempts are blocked immediately and the user is prompted to create a stronger, unguessable password. This eliminates the weak link before it has a chance to compromise security, ensuring the entire environment isn't brought down by one careless selection. Beyond just blocking bad passwords, this feature works proactively to strengthen the entire organization's defense system. A department might push to prioritize user convenience over password complexity. They assume no one will actually attack their segment directly. But that mindset is what makes the organization vulnerable. Attackers don't wait for high-value targets, and instead they focus on entry points that are poorly protected. By enforcing dynamic password protection, such as preventing commonly used terms or weak patterns, Entra builds security into everyday actions without disrupting workflows. Another crucial element of Entra's password protection is its adaptability across cloud and hybrid environments. For organizations still relying on on-premises Active Directory, a component can be installed locally to integrate Microsoft Entra password policies into the domain controllers. This means that whether an employee changes their password in the cloud or within an on-premises setup, the same rules apply. Microsoft makes it seamless to enforce consistent security policies regardless of where resources are located. Let's dig into how this works. When an organization uses hybrid identity systems, it's common to see inconsistencies in security enforcement. A password change made within the on-premises environment might not align with policies configured for cloud accounts, leaving gaps attackers can exploit. Microsoft Entra ID resolves this issue by synchronizing password protection policies across both settings. The global blocked list, paired with your custom rules, is shared with the on-premises domain controller, ensuring the same level of protection is enforced everywhere. What's even better is how this integrates into the user experience. Often, security features get a bad reputation for interrupting workflows or making things unnecessarily complicated for users. With Entra password protection, these policies operate quietly in the background. A user simply encounters a notification at the point of password selection. Nothing gets slowed down or broken. Instead of allowing a risky password and exposing the user to later compromise, the system redirects them to select a stronger one, helping them adopt better practices without feeling frustrated or burdened. Let's bring it back to the stakes. Why does this really matter? Organizations that ignore password vulnerabilities often find themselves in difficult situations when incidents occur. One case study showed how a single weak password led to a chain of compromises in a mid-sized company. An admin's reused password was discovered in a data breach, allowing attackers to gain access to shared drives containing sensitive customer information. The result was months of cleanup and financial losses, not to mention irreparable damage to the company's reputation. Now compare that to an organization using Entra. With blocked password rules in place and enforced globally, that compromised password wouldn't have met policy standards in the first place, stopping the attack before it began. All of this leads us to one ultimate takeaway. Intelligence and simplicity work hand in hand to deliver protection with real results. By automating the process of identifying and enforcing secure passwords, Microsoft Entra ID reduces the risk of human error, which is one of the most significant vulnerabilities in IT systems, whether it's blocking predictable patterns, flagging risky substitutions, or creating tailored rules. This feature ensures password security isn't left to chance or inconsistent enforcement. Now let's tie this back to where passwords fit within the larger picture of identity management. Even with strong password policies in place, passwords remain inherently vulnerable. They can be shared, stolen, or forgotten. While features like Entra password protection make passwords more secure, the next step in Evolving identity management is moving beyond passwords altogether. What if you could offer top-tier security without requiring users to remember passwords at all? Let's explore the future of authentication with the power of passwordless security. Going passwordless, the future of authentication. What if you never had to remember a password again? Imagine skipping over the frustration of forgotten credentials, password resets, or trying to come up with yet another variation of the same tired phrase you've used for years. Passwords have been the backbone of authentication for decades, but the truth is they're not just inconvenient, they're also one of the weakest links in securing user identities. Every password, no matter how complex, is vulnerable to being stolen, guessed, or leaked. Microsoft Entra ID introduces passwordless authentication to address these challenges and to modernize identity management in a way that enhances both security and the user experience. So, how does passwordless authentication work and why is it such a revolutionary step forward? Let's start with the basics. Passwordless authentication removes the need to rely on passwords as the primary method of identifying a user. Instead, it uses something you own, like a device or security key, and combines it with something you are, such as your biometrics or something you know. This aligns closely with a zero-trust approach by ensuring that gaining access isn't dependent on one weak link like a password. Instead, it builds authentication on multiple layers of security. One of the standout options in Entra ID is Windows Hello for Business. If you've ever used facial recognition to unlock a device, you're already familiar with the concept. Windows Hello replaces passwords with strong two-factor authentication that ties the user to their device using a combination of biometrics, like facial recognition or fingerprints, and a PIN. Here's what makes it different. Your PIN or biometric data stays local to your device and never gets stored on external servers. When you try to log in, Windows Hello uses a cryptographic key pair instead. The private key resides securely within the device's trusted platform, and the public key is registered with the identity provider. When you authenticate, the system verifies the match without ever exposing sensitive credential data. What this means is that even if an attacker somehow gained access to your network, they'd have no way to steal or reuse these keys. Beyond Windows Hello, Microsoft Entra ID also supports FIDO2 security keys, which follow the Fast Identity Online standard for passwordless authentication. FIDO2 keys are hardware devices that connect via USB, Bluetooth, or NFC. They use public key cryptography, much like Windows Hello. A private key is stored on the device and a public key is registered with the system. Unlike passwords, these keys are phishing resistant. Since the key exchange only happens with verified websites or applications, attackers can't trick users into handing over their credentials on fake sites. This makes FIDO2 security keys an excellent defense against phishing attacks, which continue to be a major cause of data breaches. Another benefit of FIDO2 keys is their versatility across platforms. For example, you can use one to sign into a Microsoft Entra connected Windows 10 or Windows 11 device, then access both cloud-based apps like Microsoft 365 and any on-premises resources tied to your account. This single sign-on capability simplifies the user experience without sacrificing security. Imagine an employee using the same tiny USB key to access everything from email to internal ERP systems. It's an elegant solution that drastically reduces friction while improving protection. For users who prefer not to carry physical keys, Microsoft Authenticator provides a software-based alternative. Available as a free app for iOS and Android, it turns your smartphone into a secure credential. The process is simple. When you sign in, you enter your username, and the system sends a notification to the Authenticator app on your phone asking you to confirm. But it goes a step further. Some configurations display a number on the login screen that you need to match inside the app. Once you verify, you complete the login by providing a PIN or biometric like a fingerprint. This multi-step process ensures that even if your phone fell into someone else's hands, it wouldn't be enough to compromise your account. Authenticator is especially useful for organizations transitioning from password dependence to completely passwordless authentication. For instance, teams already using multi-factor authentication with passwords can add the app as an option. Over time, administrators can phase out the need for passwords entirely, moving toward a more secure system that relies only on device-based credentials. What's impressive is how these passwordless options aren't just more secure. They're also simpler for users. You've probably experienced the frustration of being forced to create a 16-character password with symbols, numbers, and uppercase letters, only to forget it the next day. Even with password managers, remembering or retrieving passwords can waste valuable time. Passwordless methods eliminate this cognitive burden entirely. Logging in becomes faster and more intuitive, whether it's scanning your face, plugging in a security key, or verifying through your phone. This streamlined experience means fewer barriers for employees trying to focus on their work and fewer calls to IT for password resets. From a security standpoint, going passwordless profoundly changes the game. Take phishing, for example. Traditional attacks trick users into volunteering their passwords through malicious links or spoofed websites. But in a passwordless setup, using FIDO2 keys or Microsoft Authenticator, there simply isn't a password to steal. Even if an attacker gains access to an employee's email or phone, the authentication process still depends on the physical possession of a registered device or biometrics unique to that user. In this way, passwordless authentication neutralizes one of the most persistent threats to modern IT systems. It also reduces the likelihood of attacks stemming from compromised credentials in breached databases. When passwords are eliminated, so is the risk of those passwords being stolen, sold, or reused. Even encrypted password hashes can't be leveraged when there's no password in use. The result is a smaller attack surface, overall one that's harder for adversaries to exploit. Let's take this a step further. Beyond preventing phishing and database breaches, passwordless security has the power to protect against internal threats. For instance, in traditional environments, shared accounts or written down passwords create vulnerabilities that can be exploited maliciously or accidentally by employees. But when each user's identity depends on something tangible, whether it's a facial scan, a uniquely registered key, or a phone secured with biometrics, these kinds of risks become much harder to materialize. Microsoft Entra's passwordless features provide that level of individualized security, ensuring access really does stay limited to the intended person. Of course, implementing passwordless authentication isn't just about eliminating passwords. It's about gaining all the scalability and insights that come with modern identity systems. In Microsoft Entra ID, administrators have the ability to manage passwordless deployment centrally. Policies can enforce different authentication methods for diverse groups within an organization. For example, high-risk roles, such as system admins or executives, might require FIDO2 keys, while frontline employees adopt Microsoft Authenticator. The choice depends on the balance between usability and security needs, and Entra gives admins the flexibility to configure these strategies as needed. To manage the rollout effectively, organizations can offer users a gradual transition path. For instance, starting with Multi Factor Authentication using passwords and the Authenticator app, then easing into passwordless workflows once users are comfortable with the technology. The platform also provides usage metrics and adoption insights to help IT teams track progress and make adjustments. By lowering technical and cultural barriers, Entra ID smooths the shift away from passwords without overwhelming users or administrators. Another clear advantage of passwordless authentication is its alignment with compliance standards. Regulations like GDPR and CCPA increasingly hold organizations accountable for protecting user data. Implementing strong security measures like passwordless authentication can go a long way toward demonstrating compliance. It's a proactive step that not only improves security, but also helps avoid regulatory fines and reputational damage. Let's be clear though, not every organization will go entirely passwordless at once. Microsoft knows this, and that's why Entra ID supports hybrid setups. You can build toward a fully passwordless future at a pace that fits your organization's readiness. Whether it's introducing Windows Hello for Business on employee laptops or piloting FIDO2 keys with a specific department, the platform's flexibility makes it easy to start small and scale later. The key is aligning your approach with your company's unique operational environment and security requirements. Ultimately, passwordless authentication isn't just a feature, it's a philosophy shift. By moving away from outdated and vulnerable authentication methods, it allows organizations to focus on empowering their users rather than constantly reacting to security threats. Every login becomes a step toward a safer, more efficient workplace. It's not about removing security measures, but replacing old tools with smarter, more seamless alternatives that make breaches far less likely. This approach also benefits end users in a tangible way. Today's employees increasingly expect their workplace technology to match the convenience of personal devices and apps. Passwordless options meet this expectation by removing friction without compromising safety. Companies that embrace these tools aren't just boosting security, they're creating a better experience for their workforce, which can lead to improved productivity and employee satisfaction. So, how does Microsoft Entra ID achieve this? It's the combination of robust technology, intelligent design, and user-friendly execution. Whether through biometrics, FIDO2 keys, or the Microsoft Authenticator app, it opens the door to a world where forgotten passwords and endless resets are no longer a concern. And as we move toward passwordless systems, one question remains. What happens when users still need to recover access? The next step in this journey is helping users regain control without involving IT at every turn. Let's take a closer look at how Microsoft Entra ID empowers users with self-service password reset. Empowering users with self-service password reset, SSPR. How much time does your IT team spend resetting passwords? It might not seem like the most important task on their plate, but if you think about how often users forget, mistype, or lock themselves out of their accounts, the minutes stack up quickly. Password resets are one of the most frequent help desk requests, and while they may seem like minor disruptions, they can lead to significant productivity losses, not just for the end user, but for the IT team as well. Microsoft Entra ID's self-service password reset, or SSPR, changes the game by letting users handle this process themselves, freeing up IT resources and getting employees back to work faster. Traditional password reset processes are riddled with inefficiencies. Consider what happens when an employee forgets their password in an environment without SSPR. They need to call the help desk, verify their identity, wait for assistance, and possibly endure downtime while IT gets around to their ticket. For larger organizations managing hundreds or thousands of users, these support requests scale into a never-ending slog of password-related tasks. Studies even suggest that up to 30% of help desk resources can be consumed by password resets alone. That's time and money spent on repetitive tasks instead of focusing on higher value IT priorities. It's inconvenient for users, it's costly for organizations, and honestly, it's avoidable. Here's where SSPR comes in. Built into Microsoft Entra ID, this feature allows users to reset their own passwords anytime, anywhere, without needing to contact IT. The process is straightforward. When users forget their password or lock themselves out, they can initiate a reset through a secure portal. Depending on how the organization has configured SSPR, verification methods might include receiving a code via email, entering a one-time passcode sent to their phone, or using the Microsoft Authenticator app to confirm their identity. Once verified, the system walks users through setting a new password, which is immediately applied across connected systems and resources. The flexibility of authentication methods stands out as a major strength of SSPR. For users who prefer app-based accessibility, the Microsoft Authenticator app provides a seamless reset experience. Users can receive a push notification requesting confirmation or enter a verification code generated by the app. Alternatively, email and SMS methods cater to users who may not have access to the app at a given moment. Security questions are also an option, although these are typically discouraged as a sole method due to potential vulnerabilities. However, security questions can serve as a useful backup, particularly when paired with other stronger forms of verification. Microsoft even adds an extra layer of protection by prohibiting security questions as an option for administrator accounts. For organizations with hybrid environments, one impressive feature of SSPR is its ability to integrate with on-premises Active Directory through a capability called Password Writeback. Any password reset made using SSPR in the cloud gets synchronized with the on-premises directory. This means users don't have to worry about remembering one password for their cloud resources and another for local applications. Everything syncs seamlessly, maintaining a unified user experience and ensuring no gap opens between cloud and on-prem security policies. Hybrid organizations should see this as a huge advantage. It simplifies the coexistence of legacy infrastructure with modern cloud-based tools. Now, let's talk about what this really means for IT teams and organizations. By allowing users to handle password resets themselves, the operational burden on IT support staff is dramatically reduced. Instead of spending hours every week unlocking accounts or resetting passwords, IT professionals can shift focus to more strategic initiatives like deploying new solutions, hardening network security, or managing compliance programs. The time savings alone can be transformative, particularly for smaller IT departments that are already stretched thin. For larger enterprises, the reduction in help desk tickets results in tangible cost savings. Think about allocating those budgetary resources to innovation instead of maintenance. You're not just saving money, you're reinvesting it in growth. The benefits don't stop with IT. For end users, SSPR means no more waiting on hold or sending multiple emails to regain access to critical systems. Password resets go from being a frustrating, drawn-out process to one that takes less than 5 minutes. This translates into fewer interruptions and more time spent on actual work. From an organizational perspective, this productivity boost is significant, particularly in industries like healthcare or finance, where downtime can have real-world consequences beyond inconvenience. Equally important is how SSPR balances usability with security. Sure, it's about making life easier for users and IT, but not at the expense of safeguarding sensitive data. Microsoft ensures that SSPR adheres to best practices in identity verification. For example, organizations are encouraged to require users to register at least 2 authentication methods. This redundancy ensures that even if one method, like access to a mobile number, is unavailable, users can still verify their identity through another channel. This approach not only increases the system's reliability, but also helps prevent abuse. Imagine trying to exploit a system that requires multiple independent confirmations. The complexity alone acts as a deterrent. One example of SSPR in action comes from a mid-sized organization struggling with help desk overload. Before implementing SSPR, their IT department handled about 500 password reset requests per month. Each request took an average of 10-15 minutes to resolve, factoring in verification steps and communication delays. Over the course of a year, that totaled approximately 1,000 hours spent responding to password issues. After rolling out SSPR, the volume of help desk tickets related to passwords decreased by 90%. Employees could reset their passwords independently within minutes, and IT reclaimed those 1,000 hours to focus on system upgrades and employee training programs. The organization not only saved time, but also improved employee satisfaction by reducing interruptions. Another lesser-known but highly valuable aspect of SSPR is its built-in reporting capabilities. Every password reset or attempted reset generates an audit log, which administrators can access through a user-friendly dashboard. For organizations prioritizing security monitoring, Microsoft Entra ID also allows these logs to be integrated into security information and event management (CM) solutions via an API. This level of visibility gives administrators the tools to identify patterns, investigate potential abuse, and verify compliance with internal policies or regulatory requirements. For example, if multiple reset attempts are detected within a short period, IT can investigate whether the activity is legitimate or indicative of a security breach. A common question about SSPR relates to deployment. How hard is it to set up? You might assume that implementing a feature with this level of impact would be complex, but Microsoft has streamlined the process. Administrators can configure SSPR through the Microsoft Entra Administration Center. From here, they can specify policies, choose preferred authentication methods, and even customize end-user notifications. Email alerts, for instance, can be set up to notify users whenever a password reset occurs, creating another layer of transparency and security. These notifications can also be targeted exclusively to sensitive accounts, such as administrators or high-privilege users, ensuring that key activities are always monitored. The rollout process is similarly straightforward for users. When SSPR is enabled in their organization, employees are prompted to register their chosen verification methods. Microsoft makes this process intuitive, presenting simple prompts during sign-in or via the access panel. Once registered, users can reset passwords directly from the sign-in page or the Entra portal depending on the organization's settings. This incremental adoption process minimizes friction and accelerates user buy-in, key factors in ensuring the program's success. From a security standpoint, SSPR strengthens organizational defenses by reducing dependency on IT intervention in areas that could expose vulnerabilities. Imagine a scenario where an attacker gains control of a help desk phone line or email channel, mimicking a legitimate reset request to steal credentials. In traditional systems, this kind of attack might succeed, but with SSPR, where password requests are validated through multiple independent methods enabled directly by users, the opportunity for exploitation diminishes significantly. By giving control back to users while ensuring verification is robust, SSPR aligns with broader zero-trust principles. If you're thinking about cost implications, it's worth mentioning that SSPR is included as part of most Microsoft Entra ID plans. Organizations already using Entra ID don't need additional software or licenses to take advantage of the feature. It's one of those rare scenarios where you can bolster security, reduce costs, and improve productivity, all without adding complexity to your IT environment. The key takeaway here is that SSPR isn't just a convenience tool. It's a cornerstone of modern identity management. At scale, it transforms how organizations handle one of their most routine but disruptive processes. By empowering users to take control of their own password resets, Microsoft Entra ID removes unnecessary bottlenecks while maintaining robust security. It's a solution designed to work seamlessly across cloud and hybrid systems, protecting not only against user error but also against evolving security threats. But let's think bigger for a moment. While SSPR changes the game for internal users, organizations increasingly need to work with external partners, contractors, and customers. Managing those external identities without compromising security is another challenge entirely. Up next, we'll explore how Microsoft Entra ID enables secure collaboration with external identities. Secure collaboration with external identities. Can you trust external users without compromising your security? It sounds tricky, right? Whether it's contractors, vendors, or even customers, modern organizations collaborate with external users on a daily basis. But giving someone outside your network access to internal resources without the right safeguards, that's a recipe for risk. Microsoft Entra ID solves this issue with its External Identities feature, designed to provide secure, effortless collaboration while keeping your organization's data under your control. The need for a solution like this is clear. Traditional security models relied on a defined perimeter, like a corporate network or VPN, but today's workplace has changed. Business-to-business, B2B partnerships often involve multiple companies sharing resources, data, and applications on various platforms. Without flexible tools to manage external access, organizations either shoulder massive security risks by granting too much access or frustrate their partners with restrictive policies that kill productivity. Microsoft Entra External ID is designed to strike that delicate balance, allowing collaboration to happen securely and without unnecessary obstacles. Let's start with how external identities enable B2B collaboration. Picture this. Your organization wants to share an internal SaaS application with a partner. Instead of creating a full user account for each individual in the partner company, a cumbersome process that increases administrative overhead, Entra ID allows them to sign in using their existing credentials from their organization or identity provider. These could be from Microsoft, Google, or another supported provider. This approach ensures that external users don't have to remember new passwords or juggle unnecessary accounts, while you retain full control over who can access what within your systems. This seamless login experience makes the process feel almost invisible to the external user, but behind the scenes, Microsoft Entra is working hard to determine authorization and enforce your organization's security policies. For example, every guest user can be verified and monitored using the same conditional access rules you've set up for employees. If someone attempts to sign in from a location you consider high risk or their behavior flags them as suspicious, Entra ID can block access or require additional verification steps like Multi Factor Authentication. This ensures that no matter who's logging in, security isn't compromised. Beyond B2B partnerships, Microsoft Entra's external identities also play a big role in customer-facing applications through Customer Identity and Access Management, or CAM. Say you're a company developing an app for customers, a banking app, for instance. With CAM features, you can offer secure, personalized signups where customers register using their preferred email or social accounts, such as Facebook or LinkedIn. From there, they can access their account using a consistently user-friendly experience. It's more than just making sign-ins easier. This integrated SIAM approach also protects customer accounts, enabling businesses to comply with security regulations while offering a better customer experience. But why is this balance between ease of use and strong security so important? Without the right safeguards, granting external access can easily open the door to missteps that lead to breaches. Imagine inviting a vendor to collaborate on a large project. Perhaps you've shared internal files or application access to keep the work moving efficiently. What happens if that vendor's credentials are compromised by a phishing attack or a poorly secured account on their end? If proper access controls are missing, those compromised credentials could be used to expose your organization's sensitive data. These scenarios make it clear why external identities need to be managed with precision. Enter Microsoft Entra ID's granular control features. When collaborating with external users, administrators can apply specific rules on what they're allowed to do within your system. For instance, an invited guest may only be able to view files, but not download them. Or they might lose access entirely after a set project deadline has passed. These controls make it possible to grant just enough access while preventing any unnecessary exposure. And unlike older methods, this level of control isn't something admins have to maintain manually. Microsoft Entra ID integrates these policies directly into workflows, automating much of the heavy lifting. Another example of where these external identity capabilities shine is with Office 365 applications. Through Microsoft Teams and SharePoint, organizations frequently collaborate with outside parties on documents, presentations, and even live projects. Without a platform like Entra ID managing guest access, it's difficult to maintain visibility over who has access to what. But with Entra, guest access becomes secure and straightforward. Partners or clients can join Teams channels to contribute to a project while being restricted from seeing or interacting with information irrelevant to their scope of work. Even better, when their participation ends, their access can be automatically revoked, removing any lingering vulnerabilities. This approach doesn't just simplify administrative tasks, it also reduces the chance of permissions being left open longer than intended. By setting these access policies from the start, Microsoft Entra helps prevent situations like an external contractor having access to confidential files weeks after their assignment ended. It's all about keeping access aligned with real-world needs without leaving gaps that could be exploited. But what happens when organizations don't fine-tune external access? Collaboration without proper safeguards can quickly become costly. Recent incidents have shown how improperly managed access can lead to devastating breaches. For example, a global supply chain company fell victim to a significant data compromise when an external vendor's credentials were stolen and used to exploit the company's internal systems. The breach exposed sensitive information and cost millions in cleanup and penalties. Scenarios like this underscore why securing external identities isn't optional. It's a cornerstone of modern IT security. Beyond traditional guest scenarios, Entra External ID also supports organizations working with large-scale external audiences. Think about businesses hosting consumer accounts, where scalability and user experience are just as important as security. In these cases, Microsoft Entra's CAM features serve as a complete identity solution. Tools like self-service registration, single sign-on, and tailored login screens ensure customers can easily access their accounts while staying protected against threats like account takeovers. And because CAM solutions integrate advanced analytics, businesses can monitor and flag unusual behavior patterns, such as multiple failed login attempts or unusual geographical access, reducing the risks of fraud. One of the most impressive elements of Entra's external identity strategy is its versatility. Whether you're working with business partners in a B2B setting or customers through a consumer-facing application, you can adapt features to fit your organization's specific needs. This is supported by how tenant configurations are set up in Microsoft Entra. Administrators can create designated tenants for workforce identity management focused on internal and guest users, as well as separate tenants for external-facing consumer applications. This division ensures that both sides of identity management, business and customer, are handled with precision, security, and ease. Simplicity is key key when it comes to encouraging adoption across organizations. Rolling out external identities doesn't require starting from scratch, redeploying applications, or re-engineering network layers. Microsoft Entra ID was designed to integrate seamlessly with existing workflows, making migration or implementation smoother than you'd expect. For example, companies heavily invested in Azure or Microsoft 365 can extend external identity capabilities with just a few configuration changes. By meeting businesses where they are, rather than forcing completely new systems onto them, Entra's external identity tools prove to be not only functional, but also practical. Another advantage lies in compliance. As organizations share data more frequently across borders and third parties, regulators are paying closer attention to how information is handled. Microsoft Entra External ID aligns with global standards, helping companies navigate these growing compliance needs without compromising efficiency. It provides audit logs to track which external users accessed your systems, when they did it, and what they interacted with. This visibility isn't just useful for compliance. It's a critical tool for spotting potential issues before they evolve into bigger threats. If unusual access behavior occurs from external accounts, administrators are alerted, giving them time to mitigate risks quickly. The cost efficiency of this solution also deserves mention. Organizations often question whether implementing such extensive controls will result in higher expenses. But Microsoft Entra External ID offers scalable, cost-effective solutions that don't require massive infrastructure changes. By consolidating your guest and customer identity management through Entra ID, you reduce costs associated with managing multiple systems while improving security outcomes. It's an approach that prioritizes both practicality and value. Ultimately, Microsoft Entra ID's external identities feature strikes a balance between enabling collaboration and maintaining robust security. Whether you're securely granting external users access to critical data or managing customer accounts across thousands of individuals, the platform builds trust into every interaction. It's not just about protecting your organization, it's about enabling it to thrive in a world built around shared connections. Finally, let's measure how secure your entire Microsoft Entra setup is with one of its standout tools, Identity Secure Score. This feature takes the guesswork out of strengthening your organization's identity security, and we'll cover how it works next. Identity Secure Score, measuring and improving security. How do you know your identity system is truly secure? With so many variables in play, user behaviors, administrative policies, ever-changing cyber threats, it becomes difficult to assess whether your organization's identity management is actually effective. Microsoft Entra ID addresses this challenge with a built-in tool, Identity Secure Score. It gives you a way to quantify your current security posture while offering tailored guidance to help you improve. Instead of guessing, you can rely on clear metrics to measure and enhance your identity security. The Identity Secure Score works by assigning a percentage to reflect how closely your organization aligns with Microsoft's recommended practices for secure identity management. This score isn't a generic assessment. It's customized to your organization's setup and configuration. If you've ever felt overwhelmed by the hundreds of potential security settings available, Identity Secure Score simplifies the process. It doesn't just tell you where you stand, it also shows you the exact steps you should take to build a stronger defense. The difficulty of pinpointing identity vulnerabilities without a clear metric can't be overstated. Without tools like Identity Secure Score, admins might address issues reactively, scrambling to fix problems as they arise. But this approach leaves gaps. After all, how do you even know where attackers might strike if specific weaknesses aren't visible? Let's consider a common scenario. An organization thinks its identity system is secure because it uses MFA for employees, but it isn't monitoring external user accounts. Without metrics, that gap may never be addressed until it's exploited. The beauty of the Identity Secure Score lies in how it illuminates these blind spots before they can become problems. Here's how the tool delivers actionable insights. When you access the Identity Secure Score dashboard, you aren't just presented with a raw percentage, it's broken down into concrete improvement actions. Each action corresponds to a specific security recommendation, such as enabling self-service password reset, SSPR, or configuring conditional access policies. These recommendations are also prioritized. For instance, Actions with the highest impact on your security posture will appear at the top of the list, ensuring you know where to focus your efforts first. This eliminates the guesswork that often slows down security improvements in complex environments. Let's say you notice that your identity secure score sits at 52%. This might seem low, but the tool doesn't leave you hanging. You'll see specific suggestions to help lift that number. For example, you might find a recommendation to review and tighten the access permissions for guest users. Or it might suggest enabling MFA for previously excluded groups, such as contractors or administrators. The guidance isn't vague. It clearly outlines the steps to resolve each issue, often linking directly to where you can apply the setting in your Microsoft Entra administration portal. One of the most practical parts of using Identity Secure Score is the ability to measure your progress over time. It's not just a static snapshot of where you are today. It's a dynamic tool that evolves as you make changes and as Microsoft updates its security recommendations. Every improvement action you complete immediately reflects in your score, giving you a clear sense of accomplishment. For administrators rolling out organization-wide security initiatives, such as enabling password protection or rolling out passwordless authentication, this feature is invaluable for tracking results and showcasing progress to stakeholders. It becomes a visual story of where your organization started, the actions you've taken, and the improvements you've achieved. Beyond internal visibility, this tracking plays a vital role in demonstrating compliance. Regulatory standards like GDPR, HIPAA, and CCPA all emphasize the importance of secure identity management. Compliance audits often require organizations to provide evidence of their security measures, and Identity Secure Score makes this process much easier. Instead of pulling reports manually or trying to justify policies on paper, admins can provide auditors with an objective measure of their identity security efforts. The score serves as both proof of compliance and an ongoing roadmap to maintain it. One example of how Identity Secure Score can be implemented effectively comes from an enterprise-level organization facing rapid growth. With over 10,000 employees and contractors, managing identity security seemed like an unending challenge. Their IT team realized they lacked a clear strategy to identify which vulnerabilities were most critical. After enabling Identity Secure Score, they uncovered several areas ripe for improvement, such as enforcing MFA for a subset of applications and enhancing guest access restrictions. Within 6 months, the company increased its score from 68% to 91%. More importantly, the custom recommendations made it easy to prioritize actions so they could tackle the most critical risks first, ensuring their efforts translated to real-world improvements. But what happens if your organization can't or doesn't want to implement every recommended action? Perhaps legacy systems in your environment don't fully support modern policies like passwordless authentication, or maybe certain business units resist change. Here's where Microsoft Entra ID makes adjustments intuitive. Entra maps out a score based only on what's applicable to your organization, so you're not penalized for things outside your scope. For example, if you don't have guest users in your directory, external access policies won't factor into your score. This tailored approach ensures every organization can engage with the tool meaningfully, regardless of its complexity or resource constraints. The concept of prioritization is especially important in environments with limited bandwidth. Not all organizations can dedicate resources to every potential action at once. For instance, an IT department supporting small nonprofit operations might have significantly different staffing and budget constraints than a Fortune 500 corporation. With Identity Secure Score highlighting the highest impact actions for your specific environment, you're always able to get the best return on your efforts no matter the size of your team or budget. It's not just about fixing existing weaknesses. Using Identity Secure Score helps you stay ahead of evolving threats. Microsoft continuously updates its recommendations to reflect the latest security challenges and industry standards. For example, 5 years ago, administrators might not have seen enforcing passwordless options like FIDO2 keys as essential. Today, with phishing attacks targeting passwords at unprecedented rates, this suggestion is more relevant than ever. By tailoring advice to the present cybersecurity landscape, Identity Secure Score ensures your defenses evolve alongside the risks. Here's another layer of its impact, showing how security decisions affect users. Improving security is important, but it shouldn't come at the cost of high user friction. Imagine you've enabled conditional access policies requiring MFA in high-risk scenarios, for instance, when employees attempt to log in from unfamiliar locations or devices. Identity Secure Score not only helps you measure how much these settings strengthen your security posture, but it also helps you communicate these updates clearly to end users. Explaining why certain steps are necessary becomes easier when backed by concrete improvements reflected in your score. What about leadership buy-in? IT administrators aren't always the ones making final decisions on security-related investments or policies. Identity Secure Score bridges that communication gap by offering quantitative proof of the benefits tied to security improvements. Presenting data that shows, for example, a 20% jump in your score after extending SSPR or enabling MFA for high-risk users can help justify broader initiatives to leadership or finance teams. It shifts discussions from abstract security risks to measurable progress, a perspective that resonates more clearly with decision makers. Organizations new to Microsoft Entra ID often find the Secure Score feature especially useful during their onboarding process. When everything feels overwhelming, the policies, configurations, and tools, this score serves as a natural starting point. It's like having a checklist waiting for you as soon as you log in. Rather than spending hours researching best practices or diving into documentation, admins can use the score and its step-by-step guidance to start shoring up their defenses immediately. Even for seasoned IT professionals, Identity Secure Score introduces an important layer of accountability. Threat landscapes are always changing, and complacency can lead to missed vulnerabilities. Secure Score keeps administrators engaged, offering incremental metrics and updated goals over time. It ensures that even in periods without pressing security incidents, continuous improvement remains part of an organization's strategy. One frequent misconception is that tools like this are costly or available only in premium editions. In reality, Identity Secure Score is included with all Microsoft Entra ID editions, from the most basic tiers to advanced enterprise plans. This accessibility ensures that even smaller businesses and startups can take advantage of the platform's benefits without needing to stretch their budgets. For organizations already using Entra ID, implementing Secure Score doesn't involve extra software, licenses, or hidden fees. Ultimately, Identity Secure Score provides more than just a percentage or checklist. It delivers a roadmap for enhanced security. By breaking down recommendations into manageable, impactful steps, it takes the intimidation out of securing complex environments. Whether you're an IT admin focused on fixing specific vulnerabilities, a compliance officer readying for an audit, or a business leader planning long-term security investments, Secure Score adds value on every level. And the best part? This isn't a tool you outgrow. As your organization evolves, whether through growth, new integrations, or changes in focus, so does Identity Secure Score. It scales alongside you, adjusting its recommendations and keeping pace with your needs. Over time, it transforms from an onboarding tool into a central pillar of your overall security strategy. Now that we've explored this powerful feature and what it can do, let's wrap up by summarizing the key takeaways from Microsoft Entra ID's features. Why hybrid identity is a game changer. What if your on-premises systems could work seamlessly with the cloud? That's a question many organizations wrestle with as they transition toward more modern infrastructures. Moving everything to the cloud might seem like the ultimate goal, but the reality is far more complex. Legacy systems, compliance factors, and even daily operational needs often require organizations to keep part of their identity infrastructure on-premises. This is where hybrid identity becomes a game changer. Microsoft Entra ID's hybrid identity solution acts as the bridge, allowing these two worlds, on-premises and the cloud, to work together securely, efficiently, and without unnecessary complexity. Managing identities across multiple environments isn't as simple as it sounds. Organizations with standalone on-premises identity systems often struggle to integrate these with cloud-based services. Each environment has its own rules, tools, and access models, which can lead to fragmented identity management. IT teams must juggle multiple configurations, often leading to inconsistent policies or manual interventions. On top of that, user experience suffers. Employees may have to log in multiple times to access on-premises and cloud resources, or worse, they might need to manage separate credentials for each system. These challenges aren't just inconvenient. They open up security gaps, add administrative overhead, and slow down productivity. With hybrid identity in Microsoft Entra ID, these issues are addressed head-on. The idea is simple but powerful. Users get a unified identity that allows them to access both on-premises and cloud resources with ease, while administrators benefit from centralized management and robust security. At the heart of this setup are two critical processes: provisioning and synchronization. Provisioning ensures that user identities created in one environment, like on-premises Active Directory, can be securely replicated to the cloud in Microsoft Entra ID. Synchronization, on the other hand, keeps these identities consistent across both environments, including key details like user accounts, group memberships, and permissions. Let's break down how this works in practice. For most organizations, the typical hybrid setup starts by provisioning on-premises user identities to Microsoft Entra ID. This allows those users to access cloud-based resources such as Microsoft 365 while still retaining access to on-premises systems. The synchronization process ensures that any changes like a password update or a change in group membership made in the on-premises directory are reflected automatically in Microsoft Entra ID. It's a seamless relationship where both environments remain in sync, eliminating manual data entry or mismatched records. Microsoft simplifies this process further through its Entra Cloud provisioning and synchronization tools. Entra Cloud Sync, for example, acts as a lightweight solution designed specifically for hybrid identity scenarios. IT administrators deploy a provisioning agent within their on-premises or infrastructure as a service (EAS) environment. This agent bridges the gap between Active Directory and Microsoft Entra ID, ensuring smooth synchronization of users, groups, and contacts. The standout feature: it's user-friendly, reducing the complexity of hybrid configurations that might otherwise feel overwhelming. Behind the scenes, the Entra Cloud Provisioning Agent relies on the System for Cross-Domain Identity Management, or SCIM, specification. As an industry-standard protocol, SCIM automates the exchange of identity information between Microsoft Entra ID and other systems. This not only makes provisioning faster, but also ensures broader compatibility with diverse identity management solutions. Essentially, SCIM acts as the translator between systems, making hybrid identity integrations both reliable and scalable. One of the strengths of hybrid identity is its ability to address security concerns that might arise in fragmented environments. Remember, when identity systems operate separately, it's harder to apply consistent security policies. For example, you might enable Multi Factor Authentication, MFA, for cloud services while leaving on-premises systems less secure. This inconsistency creates vulnerabilities that attackers can exploit. By unifying identities in a hybrid model with Microsoft Entra ID, you can enforce the same security policies like conditional access or password protections across the board, ensuring that users face the same level of scrutiny wherever they're signing in. Another common concern with maintaining hybrid setups is minimizing downtime during provisioning and synchronization. This is where the central control provided by Microsoft Entra ID truly shines. Because provisioning configurations are managed directly from the cloud and stored securely within Microsoft Entra ID, IT teams don't have to worry about local hardware failures or disruptions impacting the flow of user identity data. This centralized approach cuts down on administrative errors and allows teams to spend more time focusing on higher-level strategic security goals. Hybrid identity truly comes into its own when solving cross-platform challenges. Consider an organization that relies on a mix of cloud-based apps and legacy on-premises systems. Without a hybrid identity, employees might have to log in separately to each environment. This is not only time-consuming but also frustrating for users. With Microsoft Entra ID, employees experience single sign-on, SSO, that works seamlessly between the cloud and on-prem systems. For example, a user could log in once to access SharePoint Online and an internal ERP system without needing a second set of credentials. This unified experience isn't just convenient, it also reduces the risk of password sharing or reuse, common practices that often lead to security incidents. Another example is when enterprises need to onboard new employees quickly. In a traditional setup, IT administrators might have to create separate profiles in multiple systems, then manually configure permissions for each resource the new hire needs. But with hybrid identity, you can automate this entire process. Microsoft Entra ID allows for role-based access provisioning, meaning once a user is assigned a role, they automatically receive permissions for relevant on-premises systems and cloud-based tools. The same logic applies when offboarding employees. When a user account is disabled in Active Directory, that change travels seamlessly to Microsoft Entra ID, immediately revoking access to all connected resources. No loose ends, no lingering access. Hybrid identity doesn't just streamline operations, it's also critical for business continuity in hybrid environments. For example, organizations with legacy dependencies often worry about what would happen if they needed to switch to a fully cloud system overnight, whether due to a natural disaster, acts of cybercrime, or operational restructuring. By maintaining a functional hybrid identity bridge, these organizations keep their options open. They can start migrating select workloads to the cloud at their own pace while ensuring users maintain access to on-premises tools in the interim. It's a built-in safety net during transitions, one that can significantly reduce operational risks as organizations evolve. Let's balance all this convenience with security one more time. Hybrid identities tools go beyond simplifying workflows. They actively make environments harder to penetrate. For instance, Microsoft Entra ID allows administrators to monitor user behavior across both environments through features like identity protection. This means suspicious activity, such as a failed login from an unusual location, can trigger responses in real time, whether the activity involves a cloud resource or an older on-premises system. By integrating these advanced analytics into hybrid setups, organizations can react to risks proactively rather than waiting for signs of damage. One real-world example of hybrid identity comes from an organization with regional offices worldwide but centralized IT operations. Before implementing Microsoft Entra ID, managing identity in this hybrid scenario required a patchwork of tools and scripts to synchronize Active Directory with cloud services. This approach led to frequent data mismatches and delays when provisioning users, especially across time zones. By deploying Microsoft Entra's Cloud Sync and provisioning agent, the organization achieved real-time synchronization, eliminated latency in granting access, and applied their existing conditional access policies uniformly to both cloud and on-prem installations. This resulted in better collaboration, faster workflows, and fewer tickets reaching their help desk, a win on all fronts. One might think that implementing a solution as robust as hybrid identity would require significant effort or expertise. But Microsoft has designed Entra ID's hybrid tools with user-centric simplicity in mind. IT administrators can set up the provisioning agent in just a few steps, and most configurations are handled through an intuitive cloud interface. Once up and running, updates are automatically provided by Microsoft to incorporate improvements or new security features, keeping the system up to date with minimal manual intervention. Beyond just functionality, cost efficiency is another critical factor. Maintaining two separate identity platforms is often expensive, not just in terms of software, but also operational man-hours. Hybrid identity allows organizations to consolidate efforts, managing everything from a single platform that supports both environments. This streamlining reduces duplicate efforts and operational drag, freeing up IT resources for other critical initiatives. Ultimately, hybrid identity ensures that organizations don't have to pick sides between legacy investments and modern innovation. Whether your priority is security, cost savings, or improving user experience, hybrid identity in Microsoft Entra ID creates a bridge to help you achieve those goals without compromise. Best of all, it scales. As you update systems or increase dependence on the cloud, hybrid identity evolves alongside those changes, so you're never locked into a rigid system that limits your future. Now that we've covered the details, let's summarize the key benefits of Microsoft Entra ID. Microsoft Entra ID brings identity management into the modern era, offering a unified, secure, and efficient solution for organizations navigating today's complex IT environments. By embracing a zero-trust security model, Entra ID ensures that identity becomes the frontline defense, reducing risks and enhancing control. Features like Multi Factor Authentication, conditional access, and self-service tools empower both IT teams and users, simplifying workflows without compromising security. Start by evaluating your current practices, addressing weak points, and implementing Entra's tools step by step. As threats evolve, remember that identity security is ongoing, and with Entra ID, your organization is ready to meet the challenge.